Hi everybody, we carry on with Genjokoan, and I would like to look particularly at being, time, existence, time. Last talk, I mentioned the fact that according to Dogen, time and being, time and existence are never separate. Of course, there is a very famous text called Uji, and you might look at it. It's available on the internet. It's a very famous chapter of Shobogenzo. Very famous in the West because philosophy, French, German, American philosophers like the idea that time can collapse into being and being collapse into time. Now we have Genjokoan, and this is what Dogen writes. Firewood becomes ash, and it does not become firewood again. Yet, do not suppose that the ash is future and the firewood past. You should understand that firewood abides in the phenomenal expression of firewood, which fully includes past and future and is independent of past and future. Ash abides in the phenomenal expression of ash, which fully includes future and past. Just as firewood does not become firewood again after it is ash, you do not return to birth after death. This being so, it is an established way in Buddha Dharma to deny that birth turns into death. Accordingly, birth is understood as no birth. It is an unshakable teaching in Buddha's discourse that death does not turn into birth. Accordingly, death is understood as no death. Birth is an expression complete this moment. Death is an expression complete this moment. They are like winter and spring. You do not call winter the beginning of spring, nor summer the end of spring. It's a very difficult text, and when I was a young student, I often looked at it, read it, and I was a bit frightened by it. I suppose I wanted to grasp it intellectually. What we have to keep in mind when we read Shobogenzo is that Shobogenzo, and Genjokoan in particular, is a wording of Shikantaza. Shikantaza spoken, an attempt to express the vast and rich nature of sitting as it is into words. And there is another thing, is that schools, teachers, education, culture are very embedded in our belief system. For instance, we think we were children and that tomorrow we will age and die. And we wrestle constantly with this idea. We think that time is a huge pool into which things, forms, and existences swim. A pool that we might even stretch to the very maximum, giving birth to the concept of eternity, a time stretched beyond time itself, forever. And indeed we have the feeling of the fleeting time, floating, flying, and we constantly running, taking everything it takes to be able to compete, catch up, and beat time. In many ways, we want to grow younger. We want to come back. Yesterday, you know, the famous nostalgia. Anyway. As Dogen says in Uji, we also have the feeling of something that stretches, you see, a sort of line. And that perception of time was very common a long time ago in India. 2,500 years ago, it was very common. And it still is now. It's an idea with which we can play, toy with, and then it gives birth to all sorts of illusions, like there is a self that will go to heaven or hell, that will be saved or thrown into the fire, the eternal fire of damnation. It also feeds the thirst to become, the greed, to generate a constant feeling of I. Well, Dogen breaks right through this duality, birth, death, I, the world, now, tomorrow, now, yesterday, saying something very simple. Pick up anything. This. 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 Whatever you pick up in the universe is time. Is its own time. It appears, disappears. Constantly. Like a pulse. So Buddha would arise, manifest, disappear, and come back. Not the same. Not different. It's a shocking thing. Imagine, because we are so keen on maintaining the sense of self. We don't want to let it go. We would do anything to keep that little darling self well wrapped up in all sorts of notions. We feed the self potions. We care, we nurture the self. The small self, of course. So knowing your own self is to fully enter the time, which is now. And there is no before, no after. Or there is a before and after, but it is not relating to this very being time. Now Dogen's words come out of Shikantaza. These are blah 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 blah. Sit and enter completely Shikantaza. Let Shikantaza enter you, and then this will be damn obvious. Take care. Speak to you soon. Have a great day. Live well.